About the video I made earlier today about employment being a modern slave. I know a lot of people would probably disagree with me, especially those people who are probably employed, because the employed people might not find sense in what I was stating out earlier. I've been getting queries, questions regarding that videos of employment I've done being a slave, like I've done this kind of videos before. But that of today had to like raise a lot of eyebrows. So I want to stress this out once and for all. Being employed, it's an advanced, modern way of enslaving yourself. I know you wouldn't agree, but let me do a mathematical statistics here. You're being paid $400 a month, and then you have your rent for $200. What are you left with? You spent 50% of your salary, your paycheck, for your rent. You're left with $200. You need transportation to work. You need to eat. You need to pay other utility bills. You also need to take care of yourself as a worker because most oftentimes you need to change your attires to fit in your firm. Then the question is, what can the remaining $200 do for you? If you had to save, it means you're going to be restricting and be denying yourself a whole lot of things for you to make a saving out of the remaining $200. What do you call this process? An act of slavery. You work, you get the same paycheck, you run the same routine. The next month, you're not expecting $600. You're expecting $400 because not every firm or company out there increases your salary every 6 months or every year. In quote, not every company out there does salary increment all the time. So what happened when you run through a paycheck of $400 for 1 year with the understanding of how we could manage the remaining $200 from it? Or do you say you want to go live in a house of $100 so that you can have space to make a little bit of savings for yourself? That's an act of slavery still. What does it do for you? When you have a choice, but yet you cannot choose, that makes you a beggar because it's only a beggar that has a choice but cannot choose. Whatever is being served to the table, they are good with it. That is what employment does to you. I should be getting queries like, how do we get out of that act of slavery? Because when you look about the children of Israelite in the land of Egypt, they were comfortable being enslaved until the Lord said, Pharaoh, let my people go. You need to look for a path. If not, you'll be comfortable being enslaved. What does employment does to you? No matter how bad the weather is, you need to be at your workplace at a particular time that is stationed for you to be there. Whether it's raining, whether it's flooding, whether it's whatever it is, you need to report at the office. Your life is situated around your farm. You do not have a say for yourself at when you want it for yourself because you owe your employer an explanation. What do you call that process? A modern act of slavery. You are working, but your employer is basically controlling your social life. That is what employment does to you because you do not have room to dictate for yourself, but you are under an obligation of another dictator who is your employer. It's very, very tricky for you to break out of that. Most people got stuck with the loans they support themselves with. Most people got stuck because their salary is like an update process, but not an upgrade process. Any life that is based on update mean is a life that is stationed at a fixed level. It can only get better at that level. You cannot move out to the next level. That is what employment does to you, because your mentality is subjected to your paycheck. Whatever you want to do with your life, you're gonna like situate it to your paycheck. Every time you see anything, you'll be like, when it gets to the end of the month, I'm gonna buy you. When it gets to the end of the month, I'm gonna purchase you. When it gets to the end of the month, I'll be its owner. If you're not doing that, automatically it means you are getting loans to do whatever you had desires. Then you're going to start paying those loans from the same salary that has been squeezing you. Not everybody ought to be independent, because you require capital for you to invest a business, and not everybody needs to be employed. That is why we have employers and we have the employees. But for your own sanity and your future, I want you to understand today, if you are employed, I don't know how you want to do it. Don't go for the loans. This is Africa. Don't go for the loans. You cannot be paid $400 every month. You are activating a loan of $2,000 to run a program. Otherwise, you're activating that loan for you to go invest it in a business that would grow, clear it, and stop you from being employed. But most oftentimes, because it's an act of slavery, you oftentimes want to get the loan to support your well-being, your survival, not collecting the loan for you to build a business. If you're not doing that, then it apparently means that you're going to be sacrificing something from your salary. No matter how bad it's going to put you in a bad corner, you're going to do it, because the only thing that makes you become an asset for yourself, not just a full-time liability, because when you are being employed, you're like a liability to yourself. But the very minute you have a small-scale business, you have automatically become an asset on this other ground. It keeps you on balance. You can be employed and you can have a small business. That is the escape plan for being that slave of employment. So I don't want you to see it from the angle that you are being employed. That's why you cannot tell yourself the truth. You are the one who is employed. You know how you run your monthly routine. Please tell me, how do you find it? Is it not an act of modern slavery? It's like you're working, but we cannot differentiate you from those people who are not having a job. You're working because you want people to believe that you have a job, that you're not jobless. But the essence of you working is not seen. That is a modern act of slavery. You can't make out anything from your savings. You can't make out anything from your salary. Then what else would you be doing? Do not forget, you're going to run the same routine for 1 year. But somebody who have a small scale business might not have clients every day to patronize them, but they know that today business could not be good, but tomorrow business is good, because when it comes to business, it is seasonal. But when it comes to employment, it is not seasonal, it is fixed. And anything that is fixed is difficult. But whatever is seasonal means it's flexible. You cannot sell a stuff today in your shop. Tomorrow you could sell more. That is what happens to you when you own a business. That owning a business is a process of independency. So if you want to be free from that chain of slavery as an employee, you need to understand that you need to employ more ethics of sacrifices to have a small business. If not, you will run in circle for another 10 years, because the company, you're a liability to yourself, but you're an asset to the owner of the company, because you need to do your best to improve the company. You need to do your best for the company to grow. But the company is not doing their best for you to grow. All they know is they're paying you your salary, your wage. Think about it and be smart.